Some of the state's biggest cities saw an uptick in violence in 2020. According to Hartford police, the capital city saw 25 homicides in 2020, 2 more than the previous year. It also saw an increase in shootings, 222, up from 142 in 2019.
As we went into fall, September, October, and November, we saw those increases kind of sustained. We saw those shootings continue, which is not what we're used to seeing. So, we had to come up with strategies and try to reduce it.
New Haven and Waterbury also saw an increase in homicides year to year. The latest stats are from November and showed that New Haven had 19, up from 9 the year before, while Waterbury had 12 in 2020, up from 4 in 2019. A crime that hit communities across the state, though, was car break-ins.
Used to be safe in the past, but these things have started recently, like every month.
Just this weekend, residents of the Pavilions apartments in Manchester woke up to find several cars broken into and left on milk crates with tires stolen. Manchester police say in 2020, they responded to 533 calls for car break-ins compared to 292 the year before. It's a similar trend in other towns. Glastonbury had 208 car break-ins, more than double the amount in 2019. Police say 75 cars were also stolen. Glastonbury police say they've started to see a shift from cars being stolen overnight to it happening in broad daylight. It happened to a Farmington family just last week, who tells us the car has since been recovered in Hartford.
Our driveway has been chock full of cars. Like, there's no way. So somebody had to have been watching this house. It's just a mess all around, and now I don't feel safe.
In Newington, where more than 100 cars were broken into in one night last month, police say they had 420 car break-ins and 90 stolen cars in 2020. That's also an increase from last year. The message here, a lot of police departments said that in most cases, the cars were left either unlocked or with the keys inside. So they're urging everyone to take the time to lock your cars and never leave any valuables inside. Gabby Molina, Fox 61 News.